Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Hakudash, Barakatah. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to Yakim out there pushing this word in truth. This is the Brother I, and I'm going to be doing a quick hit with 2 articles and a few scriptures. And the name of this first article I'm going to be using is called U.S. to Create 30,000 Strong Border Force in Syria, Outraging Turkey. This is on antiwar.com, and it says, New border force will be mostly Kurdish fighters. The U.S.-led coalition forces in Syria have announced their intention to create a new 30,000-man border force in northern Syria, along the border between Syria and Turkey. The force is expected to predominantly be Kurdish, but also include some Arab fighters. Spokesman Colonel Ryan Dillon confirmed that the inaugural class of border fighters are already trained, some 230 members. There's no timeline on getting to 30,000, though in the past the U.S. has struggled mightily to achieve large numbers in such training efforts. Unsurprisingly, since this whole scheme boils down to training and arming a heavily Kurdish force guarding what is ultimately Kurdish YPG territory, Turkey is furious, saying the entire enterprise is unacceptable. Turkish officials say they've already summoned a U.S. chargé d'affaires in Ankara last week to protest the effort and are being increasingly public about their opposition to the idea. Recent history suggests Turkey's opposition to U.S. actions in Syria will have no impact on them, however. So as you brothers can see, things just keep heating up, and this is just going to lead further and further to World War III, because they're saying this is just a border force to be a guard or whatever, but it's on the where is it? On the Syrian-Turkey border, which is very near Iran, which is what the ultimate goal of this is a pre-launch point for a war with Iran. And I'm gonna get my first scripture. 2nd Esdras 15:28 through 30. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia and the forces that are going to be in this 30,000-man border army are from, it says there, it's made up of Arabians and Kurdish, shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all which they hear, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. And these many chariots are going to be U.S. arms, and this is a double-fold scripture because this could be talking about what's going on right now with this border army, and also when Saudi Arabia and other nations get together to go towards to fight with either Iran or turn on the U.S. to fight with Iran against the U.S. And as it says in 30, also the Carmanians, which are a band of Persians, which are the modern-day Iranians, will be raging in wrath, and shall go forth as wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And this border army is going to be on the border with Syria and Turkey. So if they do use this as a launching point to go to war with Iran, Iran will send its military forces as a counter into the land of Syria to fight, and as it says, a portion of it shall be wasted. And then I'll go to Joel 3 and 12 through 14 to further hammer in the point. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the Arabians, the Carmanians, which are the Iranians, and Turkey and the Kurdish forces as well, and also Russia and other nations once this World War III starts popping off. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And the day is near, because as you can see, Turkey's already pissed, and they used to be a U.S. ally, but they're slowly turning against the U.S., and as the U.S. does more and more of these cowardly backstabbing acts, things will get bigger and bigger to where you'll have multitudes and multitudes of people in that area for World War III, and as it says, the vats will overflow, and the harvest will be ripe, and many people will die. And I'm going to go to my next article. This is also on anti-war. Erdogan, Turkey to attack U.S.-backed Syrian Kurds in coming days. So you see, Turkey already is getting its bands and everything together. And in the article it says U.S. must support offensive to purge terror from Afrin. Having repeatedly threatened such an offensive in the past, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has announced that a Turkish invasion of the Afrin district of northern Syria held by Kurdish YPG forces will be launched in the coming days. Afrin has long been held by the YPG, not connected to the rest of the YPG's territory in Syria. There have been exchanges between them and Turkish troops a few times over recent months, but the invasion is yet to happen. The U.S. has long tried to keep Turkey from attacking Kurds, but Erdogan is now saying that he expects the U.S. to support this operation, which he says is being done to purge terror from the border region. Erdogan has long insisted he considers the YPG to be terrorists on par with ISIS, which has meant U.S. support for Kurdish troops has caused a lot of tensions between the two sides. With U.S. support for a new Kurdish border force, Turkey may believe chasing them out of Afrin needs to be done sooner rather than later. And I'm going to go to Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beasts, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And while Turkey may not necessarily be one of these 10 horns on the beast, it was a former ally of the U.S. And as you can see, with this border army, Turkey's about to go into the Afrin district where Kurdish YPG forces, which are U.S. allies, are. So in effect, they'll be fighting a proxy against the U.S., and this is her just beginning to hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Because once you know, when the U.S. is weakened from fighting World War III on multiple fronts, Turkey's going to unload those nuclear missiles on it. And I'm going to go to Ezekiel 38 and 6. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. And Gomer and Togarmah were the ancient names for the current day Turkish people. And in this in Ezekiel 38 and 6, it talks about how these people are going to be joining Gog and Magog in the coming war once Gog and Magog, which is Russia, is turned back to its former ways. And you can see this now as Gomer and his bands are getting ready and prepared to go into counteract this U.S. border force through a proxy war fighting the Kurdish YPG. And then I'm going to go to one last scripture before I finish it out. Obadiah 1 and 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Salakia, brothers, there is none understanding in him. And the whole book of Obadiah speaks of Esau in the last days and how he's going to be taken out. And the Turkey used to be in confederate with Esau, which is the U.S., America, Europe, Israel, Mystery Babylon, and such. And when that whole Syrian war first started, it was over putting a pipeline through lands in Syria to get to Europe, and Turkey was all for it because they thought they would get kickbacks from it as well. But when Turkey started not seeing that they would reap the benefits that they thought they would, because at that time they were training ISIS forces in their lands and sending them over the border into Syria to fight. But as the war and intensity got worse, they started taking in refugees from the crisis, and they couldn't deal with it. And it was similar to Europe. The U.S. fought this war without thinking about this outcome, and so Turkey started getting upset with it and saw that as ISIS started destabilizing these countries, it was destabilizing their border to where it could eventually spill over to them. So they started more going towards the Russian camp, and what officially sealed that deal with them is earlier in, I think around the summer of 2017, there was a attempted coup to overthrow Erdogan, and as with the color revolutions that are going on in Iran now and in the past, Turkey had an idea that it was the U.S. behind it, since they were going against them into the Russian camp, and they couldn't afford to let this happen. So, as you can see, things are heating up even more and more, and we just got to keep pushing this word and hasten the fall of this empire, America, Mystery Babylon. So I hope you brothers are edified with this quick hit. Until next time, Shalom.